Tim, very serious moment, of course, as always, reviewing the weekend's game, and another honourable loss for your mob.
You've said that on purpose, haven't you? You've said it on purpose. You're trying to upset me. Well, it's upset Matthew Primus, hasn't it? He's not happy. He's sick of losing, and that's understandable too. They get themselves to a position to be able to win it. It's just having the confidence to go on with it. And what they need to do is just break those shackles, have a win in a close situation, and hopefully then that just changes that mindset. Because unfortunately, if it keeps reoccurring, you end up with that, oh no, here it is again mentality, and that's what can happen.
But isn't that, where's reality then? I understand Matty being disappointed, but isn't reality this is a team that is not as good as a lot of other teams that are going to have losses? Isn't that just reality?
I think that's good for scribes and for media commentators to have that attitude. I don't think it's great for a footy club, a coach or players to have that attitude. Otherwise, what do you do? Just keep saying, where is reality? Is it here? Is it here?
But you can't be emotional at losses like that, because that's, I mean, I understand what you're saying.
I like it.
Do you?
I like it, yeah. I reckon if you've got
Can't it be a negative?
it means you care. It means you care about it. And I think if you're showing no
Where's
emotion,
the balance then, Tim? I'm saying, where's the balance?
perhaps there is a balance, but I think it's good. Matthew, if in a lot of his post-match conferences, doesn't show a lot of emotion. He sort of keeps it pretty together and pretty steady. I actually prefer him to fire up a little bit and get a bit more into it. So if he's doing it now, I'm happy.
Speaking of getting into it, Nathan Bassett and Josh Franco, our own, got into it with Cam O'Shea and Benny Jacobs. Were they too harsh, or is that just the way it is in the modern game? You've just got to be brutal whether you played 300 or you played 3.
Yeah, I think it was more about the selection of the sub. That's what brought it up and brought it to the fore, and then there was discussion about whether O'Shea and Jacobs perhaps played more games than what they normally would have had the club not been struggling last year. That's probably a fact, and there's no harm in doing your time in the SNFL. A lot of players have done a couple of years and then come good. Josh Carr was a great example of that at the Power. So sometimes that can happen and you develop better, but look, they can't choose their path. They're two great kids. They're trying to make it, and there's a lot of scrutiny on, especially poor young O'Shea at the moment. But I think what they were really getting at was that selection correct? I think everybody sort of in hindsight has gone, no. David Roden should have been playing, and perhaps it was Robbie Gray that become the sub, or Roden himself become the sub. So that'll probably be changed this week.
What do you do this week? Got Collingwood. You've sort of got Collingwood on their knees. They're vulnerable.
Guilty.
Another honourable loss?
Oh, yeah, well, you know, in the last 3 years, Collingwood have never been this vulnerable.
No.
And this is just a terrific opportunity, and I don't like saying that because Nathan Buckley's a good friend, but this is a great opportunity to be able to take advantage of it and say, get them while they're unsteady and arguing and bickering internally. Have a win against them and, you know, then step up into a showdown. How good's that? It just changes your whole seasons out there. They have to be really good. They have to get a good start. They got the good start against St Kilda. It saw them through. Yep. They haven't had 2 good starts in the last 2 weeks.
You were getting some joy out of Eddie and Mick fighting, are you, by the sounds?
Oh, look, I am getting a little bit of joy out of it because I don't know that the whole concept was ever going to work. And what I've been critical of and made the comment of, that I think Mick has made it very difficult for them in the last 12 months, even of his coaching career. He didn't sit it nicely, did he? And I don't think he departed well. And now he's just continued from the outside to throw big rocks. So Eddie, for the first time, has responded, and it's on. And you beauty, Port Adelaide, big opportunity. Take it.
Let's talk about the other mob at West Lakes. Bad kicking's bad football, Tim. I know you know that.
Yes, I know. But I mean, you were at the game. I mean, look, do you think that those opportunities would have at least kept them in the contest with an opportunity?
I think at half-time would have kept them within a kick at half-time. I mean, they missed 7 set shots at goal that were what you'd consider 80-20 shots. Like 80% of the time you would kick that goal, maybe even 90%. And I guess for Kurt Tippett, more so than Taylor. Taylor seemed to drop his bundle and go missing and not want to get the ball after the first couple. The beauty with Kurt is he kept on presenting. His hands are magnificent. He's in great form. Probably should have kicked 3 bags of 6 this year, and he's probably kicked 8 goal, 15 or something or other. But it's happening too often. He's missing the same side every time, and his is from a mark and a set shot. So it's a fundamental of his game that's wrong that surely you've got to be able to fix. So I'm not quite convinced that he's either being taught right or up here is right, because that's a fixable. That is a dead set fixable that's not being fixed at the moment.
Do you think there's a greater pressure upon players when they get that obvious set shot that everybody thinks, well, that's the ones you have to kick, within 25, 45 degree angle? Do Do you think there's greater pressure now, knowing that every game is televised, everything is on you? Do you think that a lot of the players, because I'm seeing it too often in the whole competition?
Yeah, I think so. And I think with Kurt, there's probably a 3-year issue for him now, and there's a big demon there. Where is Ben Perkins, I say? Where is Ben
He's still
Perkins?
out there.
The kicking coach. So maybe he needs somebody different. Maybe he needs to work above his shoulders and below his waist at the moment. But it's an issue that it's got to have an outcome sooner or later, because you just can't afford it to happen. And it really ruined their game. I thought they were pretty good. In so many areas, Adelaide were good. You'll say they lost by 10 goals, but contested footy, clearances, and equal amount of ball inside 50. So in that regard, they were in the game, but Hawthorn 100 more possessions, 100 more marks, so controlled the play in general field play and kicked beautifully. They kicked at nearly 80% efficiency, which is unheard of. It was a clinic, Tim.
And they do it short too, don't they? A lot of teams have been criticised for maybe going too short and not enough long kicks. Hawthorn do it better than anybody, don't they?
Go really short until they get to about 60, and then they give it to blokes who can kick the ball 60, like Suckling and Franklin, and got some really good kickers. 11 left leggers in a 22-man team. I don't reckon. I'm trying to work out how many the Crows had. 1, maybe 2 at the most. So it's a different dynamic. That big advantage for Hawthorn, I reckon.
You've always said that the draw's great for Adelaide this year.
Yep.
This is probably a week where it is, isn't it? You've had 2 wins. You lose to what's probably going to be a top 2 side.
Yep.
You then back up against GWS. Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, look, I think it's a good thing. I don't think by the next morning, I reckon 24 hours after the Hawthorn loss, I don't think Sanderson would have been too disappointed. He wouldn't have been too brutal. He wouldn't have punished him on the track. He would have said, look boys, we did A, B and C well, and we did D, E and F wrong. They didn't really have a good player apart from Sam Jacobs. I mean, not often that you'll have all of your team underperforming and only one bloke that really won his position hands down. Got smashed in the midfield. Apart from Tippett in attack, didn't really have a forward. Callanan gets 3, but not sure he had a major influence on the game. So I think he'd be okay with that result and say, look, next time we get him, we'll be better and we might do it better. Got a couple of issues, I think, in defence for me. Talia, Rutten, Andy Otten is out of sorts and's got to go back. Their defence doesn't get any ball at the moment offensively, so if there's not a stoppage goal, there's no way of getting a goal for them. They don't generate any goals from the back half. They've lost that run and carry. John Cox out of form. Got to get some offensive weapons in their back half for me. And Andy Otten's got to go back.
Interesting, before the game you said, look, Hawthorn are vulnerable down back, yet their back six had a terrific game.
Well, Sean Mack was gone on Tippett. I mean, they left that match up all day and Kurt took his 9 marks but didn't finish. But they allowed Gibson to be 3rd man in and maybe nullify Tippett to a certain degree. So you're right, their back half in the end held up really well. And Adelaide's was okay, but not the same class at the moment. It was a dividing class, I reckon, and the top 4 v the next, there might be a bit of a gap.
Now we're round 3. Who is the top 4? Because we saw Geelong get beat by North Melbourne.
Yeah, I think that might have been a hiccup. I think Geelong, Carlton, Hawthorn, definitely. The West Coast have got injuries that are going to come back to bite them. I mean, Embley gone now. Yeah, Lacroix gone. I don't think they can win it now. I think they're 2 big injuries that are pretty well season-ending injuries. So I think it's a race in 3 now. And I think Geelong are going to be okay. Just a little hiccup for them.
Could somebody like Sydney or Adelaide with their draw sneak into 4th?
Yeah, I think 4th might be open. I think you're right. I don't think Collingwood can. I think they're in strife now. I don't think they can. I think they'll finish in the A, but I don't think they'll finish in the 4. So maybe that 4th spot. Maybe it's still the West Coast, but I don't think they're good enough to beat the top 3.
It's going to be interesting.
It's only
round 4.
It's only round 4, and I've had enough of you already. See you next week. What's that?